Honda, you and me, we need to have a little bit of a discussion here. Bring on the entire marketing team and let's hash this out. What were you thinking? Putting a price tag on the new Honda Prelude at, what is it, $53,895. This is the UK. It's going to be more expensive there, of course, than over here in the States. But again, I mean, do you want this Prelude to fail or what is going on? This price tag is just absolutely ridiculous, specifically for what you're paying for with this Honda Prelude. And I think it's going to be a massive flop if you don't drop your prices for the new Prelude because I don't know. It looks pretty cool, I would say. It's not a special design. It looks like a pretty basic coupe sports car. I think they could have done a lot better with this design. Even though it is beautiful, I mean, it's going to live up to the previous Preludes? Probably not. Not just because of the design, but also the powertrains that we have in this. It doesn't make sense to me. The numbers and the tech for the Prelude does not make sense to me. So I'm going to compare it to, I don't think we have the 2 Series, the 220 Coupe here in the States for sale, the base model, but they have it in the UK. Guess what? The base 220 BMW is actually cheaper than the Honda Prelude. And which one would you buy? I mean, to me, it's pretty obvious which one I would buy between these two. So we're going to have a look at these. The BMW 2 Series from a front, side, you know the drill, the rear, the interior as well. The interior, we have a lot to talk about here for sure between these two. The 2 Series, by the way, has grown a lot on me since it first came out. Now I actually think it's a pretty beautiful car. Maybe not beautiful, but it's cool looking. And I did not think that when it first came out. But before jumping Photoshop here, I mean, we need to talk about this, the price for the Prelude. And am I totally wrong here, or would you pay almost $54,000 for this? If you are, I would love to hear from you in the comments and let me know how you would justify that price. CarScoop's article here, I'll link down below. New Prelude costs more than a BMW 2 Series in the UK. 0 to 60, 8.2 seconds. Prices in Great Britain for the new Prelude starts at $53,895, including taxes, thankfully, which makes it slightly more expensive than the German Coupe. European Prelude makes less power than America's, which is also strange. I don't know why they do this. The UK version, 181 horsepower, the US version, 200 horsepower. So it's a pretty substantial boost. I mean, 20 horsepower, the percentage, what is it, 10% more horsepower? It's not bad at all. I wish they could have the same power in Europe, but I don't know why they do this. So same hybrid setup as the Civic. Borrow suspension parts directly from the Civic Type R, which is cool, I guess. I mean, that's maybe one way to justify this price, but I still don't think that's even near enough. It's not good news for those hoping for an affordable sports coupe, and that is what I thought it was going to be. I also thought we were going to get a manual transmission. Instead, they're doing something weird with this transmission. I still haven't figured out how this transmission works. It's powered by the electric motors. It's not a CVT. It's not a traditional gearbox. It has simulated gears, up to 8 gears simulated. It's just, why? Like, I don't understand why. So the same starting price as the base BMW 220i Coupe. The Prelude has been announced in a single spec in the UK known as the Advance, starting at £39,595, and that is equal to $52,055, excluding tax. And then you have $53,895 with taxes and fees included. The Prelude is by no means a bargain, quite the opposite, in fact. But it still does look pretty good. It has very strange proportions. We're going to look at that in side view because it was inspired by these, what are they, the glider planes or whatever they're called, with no engines. And it very much looks like that cockpit from a side view. The 2 Series in white with the black graphics here, it looks pretty decent, to be honest. It looks like a much more substantial design, a much more complete car, I would say. Much more luxurious and sort of a more GT feel for this 2 Series. The 2 Series sells around 3,000 units a year in the UK. And it is a hybrid. It's arguably the Prelude's nearest rival in spirit, without being a complete direct rival to this. It's the closest one they could find. The entry-level 220i M Sport Coupe available for £40,415 or $53,100, including fees and taxes. It's much more power, 184 horsepower, and it has a traditional 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder, great, paired with an 8-speed standard automatic transmission, 0 to 60 in 7.5 seconds. Also fantastic numbers. It doesn't, it's a 220, it's the base model. I like these numbers a lot. Unlike the Prelude's intricate hybrid system with a synthetic S Plus shift gearbox that drives the front wheels. Yeah, I know the old Preludes with front wheels as well, but is that going to make for a very sporty feel? The BMW, of course, being a BMW, sends the power to the rear, which is what you want in a small sports coupe like this. So 181 horsepower in the UK and 200 horsepower in the States. The European car takes around 8.2 seconds to reach 0 to 60, and that is about 0.7 seconds slower than the BMW. Now, Honda says that it should handle well. Well, that is good. That's some good news. Honda is also promising its bespoke Brembo brakes provide unrivaled stopping power and pedal feel. I don't know if we need like high-performance brakes when you have 181 horsepower. It seems like just a marketing little trick to just put some Brembo brakes on here. Even though Brembo, yes, they do make fantastic brakes, but it doesn't really, I don't feel like it's needed in this case. We know in the US here, the pricing is going to start around $38,000 to $42,000, which honestly, I still feel it feels better than $53,000 for sure. But I would still not buy this car because I have a feeling it's not going to be very exciting to drive with the spec that we talked about right here. So with that said, let's jump in Photoshop here. Let me show you why I personally would 100% buy the BMW 220 if it was available here in the States over the Honda Prelude. It's very, very simple because, as I said, that BMW feels like a much more solid car. As I said, if I was going to go on a long road trip, I don't feel like I would take the Prelude in this case. I would take the BMW because the BMW would probably be very fantastic. Great on the highway. And also, if you manage to find yourself a back road, it's probably a lot more fun with the rear-wheel drive that we have going on here. And we also have, of course, the 8-speed proper automatic transmission. As I said, this one has actually grown on me a lot over the years since it first came out. It looked very strange. We still have some strange, graphics, specifically in the lower section. This is something BMW has been doing with a lot of models the last 5 or 6 years or so. But it still looks like a proper BMW. I just wanted to change the headlight unit here to have 2 light elements here to have the more classic 2 angel eye situation in that area. The grills look great. They are horizontally laid out and stretched out, giving it a much wider look than if we were to have the iX situation with the grills that goes down like this. So the 2 Series looks very good, specifically in white and more so with the silver wheels instead of the black wheels. These wheels are absolutely stunning. Love to see it. It would be even better if we had the bronze wheels on here. Now looking at the Prelude, the Honda Prelude, it looks like I don't know how to put this. It just looks like a regular, it doesn't look special. It doesn't have that special feel to it that I wanted to see for a Prelude. It just looks like a Honda Civic Coupe to me. It's nothing exciting about this design. That doesn't mean that it's a bad looking vehicle, but I wanted to see the Prelude with the name coming back, the nameplate coming back, make it a little bit more exciting than this. It's still a good looking vehicle, very clean lines, and some nice fluidity to it. And it feels like every single, compared to the BMW, feels like every single line in this vehicle has actually been sketched out by hand, which is always great to see because there is a curvature to everything in this. And we do have the black wheels in this case. I am not sure if you can get this with silver wheels. I really hope so. I do like the Daytona run light that we have going on right here. But the overall feel, the design here with these fins sticking out in the headlight definitely gives me a lot of Toyota vibes as well. It could be, if we just switch out the badge, if we remove the badge here, switch it out to Toyota, I can see that this being, it could be a Toyota product, this thing. Let's look at the side view, because I think the side view is probably the most interesting views for both of these vehicles, because both of them have pretty strange looking proportions. First of all, the BMW, what I like about this BMW is we do have these big, squared off features inside of the bodywork, looking like a DTM race car with the wider fenders, but they're integrated in the bodywork in a pretty nice way. We have a nice, even though this is the small 2 Series, BMW still decided to put a proper one shoulder line like this, which looks beautiful. And the greenhouse looks very cool as well. You can see the A-pillar going down straight into the center point like we want to see in coupes like this. And we also have this corner. You can see how the hood just sticks straight out, creating this 3 box design that we want to see in cars like this. With this box right here, we have the second box, of course, being the greenhouse in this area, and then the third box all the way back here. Beautiful looking proportions. I thought the hood and the greenhouse sat a little bit too far back when it first came out, but now, as I said, it's grown on me a lot, and I do like that you're sitting pretty far back in this vehicle when you're driving a 2 Series. It looks very, very cool, and the wheels, again, looks beautiful with these silver wheels. Now, looking at the, cab forward design that we have for the Prelude, and you can see the glider inspiration. The thing that looks so strange here is, first of all, if we sketch out where the driver is actually sitting, he's sitting straight in the middle of this entire length, pretty much straight in the middle. So it doesn't have this 2-door sports car coupe feel that I want to see. And then you can see the greenhouse itself also sits right in the middle of the vehicle. Interesting looking design. The A-pillar doesn't really connect to the center point. It goes a little bit up, higher up. And then you have the height of the hood is the same height as the rear end, which creates a pretty static looking feel for the side view. It doesn't look like it has a movement either forward. Right here, it doesn't look like it's moving forward or backward. It looks like a static object just sitting on the ground, because the greenhouse is right in the middle. We have the same height right here in the front end as we have in the rear as well. So it doesn't have any sort of movement. And then we also have the black wheels in this case. I would personally switch those out immediately to something that I can appreciate the wheel design of these wheels. Now, the spoke design, I mean. Now, looking at the rear end, this is going to be my favorite view, specifically for the Honda Prelude. I think it's a beautiful looking design from the rear with the light bar here. Honda decided to jump on this trend and introduce a light bar here. I also like that we have this nice chamfer in the lower section housing the diffuser in the back. But this being a sports car, where are the exhaust pipes? Come on, Honda, bring out some beautiful exhaust pipes in the lower section. It could be just 2 simple round exhaust pipes like this, and it would make for a much sportier looking rear end. It still looks too tame, this design, for me. And you can see just how far forward, again, the greenhouse sits, and this sloping roof that we have going back. This looks like a pretty flat surface, this area, the entire rear end. It looks like we do have a brake light up here integrated in the shelf for the window. Look at the BMW proper design. You can see how high up this ducktail sits compared to the front end. So we do have a motion in this design. We also have this framing for the rear graphics with this chamfers going down here. And it's not too complex like we have in the front end. These rear taillight or tail end graphics looks a lot better than what we have in the front, where it's too complex with all the chamfers and angles going on. And on top of that, it still looks very sporty because we still have dual beautiful exhaust pipes symmetrically placed even in the base 220, and that is what you want to have again in a sporty coupe like this. The taillights could have been a little bit better designed, I think, when it comes to dynamic vibe. Maybe have a little bit of a thicker feel like this going down, something like this, and then we can have a 3D effect with the lower section, maybe a chamfer in the lower section, something like that, just to create a little bit more of a thicker piece going into thinner and have some more movement overall in this design. But both of these look pretty good from the rear view, I would say. I would still prefer the BMW when it comes to these designs, because that has the more classic two-door coupe style. Now, last but not least, these interiors, this is the only place or design that I would prefer the Honda over the BMW, because BMWs with these two screens is just such a lazy integration with two squared off screens. They didn't even make any sort of styling to the endpoints here, which might not be necessary, but at least put some radiuses here and make it nice and not so harsh for this interior. Make something softer with the interior since everything is all screens. We don't even have the climate buttons anymore. You can see the climate is all integrated right here in the lower section of the software. Everything is gloss plastic, this being the base model 220. Actually, I'm not sure if this is the 220 of the M340, 240, I'm not entirely sure. But too much gloss plastic. We at least have some buttons for the drive modes down here, and this toggle to navigate the infotainment system here. The steering wheel looks great. Pedals look great as well. And the overall design for the dash is pretty beautiful as well. But I still want to have separation, of course, from the gauge cluster and the infotainment screen, just like we have on this Honda Prelude down here. Beautiful integration of the screen, even though this screen probably is a similar screen to what we have in the Honda Civic. It feels kind of cheap. It's a lot of hard plastic in there. The graphics are not the most beautiful to look at either, but at least it is housed in this cave and it's separated from this. And on top of that, we have analog features for all the climate settings separate from everything else that goes on in the interior. But this gear selector, have you been in a new Honda recently? These buttons is like the least sporty way to select gears. It just does not make sense to me to have that in the Prelude. I wish they just ditched this altogether and gave me something else, anything else in these buttons that we have in the Honda, right, in new Hondas right now. But overall, the interior looks great. I just don't think that this is going to sell well based on the price point for the Honda Prelude. They definitely need to drop it, specifically in Europe. I mean, $53,000 for this, it 0 cents to me. But we'll see when it comes over here if people are still going to buy it for the nameplate, for the what it's called, the Prelude. Maybe they have some nostalgic connection to the old ones, but I have a feeling they might be disappointed once they take it out for a drive.